And the Oscar for Best Movie YouTube channel goes to Jamie Lee Curtis. Wait, what? Fanatics, this is the tagline, the show where the tagline is the title. My name's Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams.
And yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We just had the Oscars a few days ago. And so everyone should know that almost anyone who has a movie YouTube channel will be talking about the Oscars, but then they still decided to pump out regular movie news too. So we got to cover that also. Thanks. Why are you so giddy or happy about it?
I'm just sitting here with a smile on my face while I listen to you complain about the fact that we have to talk about movie news.
I'm not complaining. I actually love doing this. Wow. Yeah. What? Huh? Who? What? Where?
Did you know the Oscars just happened?
Everywhere. Everything. All at once.
What?
Yeah. Look, we already lost someone. I saw as soon as you said what, I saw the number of viewers go from like 5 to 4. I'm like, And now it's at 6. So cool. Since we have a bunch of y'all in here, YouTube things real quick. Y'all got questions, comments, issues. You want to yell at us for any opinions tonight? Streamlabs.com/Cinefanatics. Also, patreon.com/Cinefanatics. Again, if you feel like we are worthy of your support and you have the means, hop on the tier that's good for you. Speaking of which, tonight, after Tagline, we will be heading over to our Discord. We are doing our monthly watch-along. Tonight, we will be watching some Ben Affleck movie. We'll figure out which one it is with all the patrons in the Discord tonight. So,
because y'all decided to tie it up all the way which way from Sunday.
And we don't know how to break ties. So
now we're just going to make you all rock, paper, scissors to figure it out.
It'll be, we're going to have y'all Squid Game to figure out who wins.
Look, you put yourself in this corner. You patrons out there, y'all put yourself in this corner. Now you're going to have to work your way out of it. We're going to enjoy a movie either way tonight, though.
Yeah. It's going to be a movie with Ben Affleck. Either way, I'm getting my Affleck fix tonight.
We're getting dunks.
Yeah. Anyway, so that will be tonight after the Tagline, roughly at around 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. So, if you want to join us for that, we're watching Ben Affleck. It's going to be good. Hop on the Patreon. At the $5 due tier, you could join us for that. Trivia Hangout will be on the Maverick tier. That will be next Wednesday, the 22nd. So after Tagline. So anyways, got a couple more updates on some small changes to how the Discord and or not Discord, how the Patreon stuff has been running. We're going to be updating patrons for that. So even if you don't necessarily want to stick around and watch a movie, at least come in if you're a patron, and so we can give you some updates. So upcoming shows real quick. We will be seeing Shazam! Fury of the Gods tomorrow. So expect the review like normal tomorrow after.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. Actually, like the reviews have already been starting to come out, and they're, I mean, like Christian Harloff had some good things to say.
I'm honestly, I keep forgetting that movie's coming out this week.
Yeah, there's like no fanfare behind this at all.
Tomorrow's gonna happen. I'm gonna be going about my day, and then it's gonna be like, all right, time to go to the movie. I'm gonna be like, wait, we're going to a movie?
Yeah, Shazam.
Oh, Shazam. Yeah, I forgot that was coming out.
Yeah. So that will be tomorrow again. Typically the way we've been doing it lately is we'll do a YouTube shorts like immediately out of the theater. As we're walking out of the theater for 1 minute, I will talk a lot and Chris will probably say like 2 words.
And then I'll punch myself in the face.
And then he'll commit some kind of act of violence against his person. So stay tuned for that. We'll see what body part he decides he no longer needs this week.
Right arm. I'm left-handed.
And then let's see, next month we got the marquee. It's going to be Friday, April 14th. We're going to be tier ranking movie themes, like the main themes for movies. So that should be a lot of fun. So we will be doing that. We'll talk about more about that as we get closer. As far as movies watched this past week, Chris.
I watched a movie called The Wife. That stars Glenn Close, and I believe his name's Jonathan Pryce. I'm getting his name correctly.
Mhm.
Very interesting movie. It's not long. It's like an hour 40, something like that. He's basically a Nobel winning writer. Like the whole movie setup where Jonathan Pryce plays a writer, an author who got the call that he's winning the Nobel Peace Prize, or the Nobel Prize, I should say, for a work of writing. And the whole movie is about Glenn Close dealing with the choices that she made leading her up to where she's at in her marriage with him, and how it all kind of goes awry during the weekend that they fly out to whatever country it was again. I can't remember. Where they're doing the Nobel stuff at. It's interesting. It's interesting, like character.
Switzerland?
I think so. I think it's Switzerland. I can't remember, honestly. Literally just watched the movie, so don't worry about it. But it's actually a really interesting film. Watching, it's like a character study on her and kind of watching the breakdown of where she's at in life and what happens and everything. I do know that I believe she was nominated for Best Actress for it. So if it's Glenn Close and it's a Best Actress nominated performance,
It's gonna be good.
It's going to be pretty good. Stockholm, that's it. Sweden. I knew it was. I was like, it's a.
What did I say? I said Switzerland.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I meant. I got the S's right. What is it? It's on the luggage. Samsonite. I was way off.
Welcome to Geography Fanatics.
Typically, I'm usually pretty good at that, but
so yeah, it's actually really good. It's one of those that kind of, I feel like it fell through the cracks despite the fact that she was nominated for it.
Mhm.
But as far as it being just a film to watch, like if you want something that's like I'm trying to describe it is a drama. It's a drama, but it's not like a thriller. It's just an interesting character piece. It's not slow. It's actually pretty well paced. All that stuff. So
like a little bit better pacing than Marriage Story.
I would say
Marriage Story is kind of like that too.
I would say it's probably a little bit better pacing than Marriage Story, but that's coming from someone who actually still enjoyed Marriage Story as much as I could use the word enjoy for a movie that's that sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
No, interesting. I watched Scream 6. I really liked it. There's a review. I have a spoiler-free review on this channel if you would like to know more of my thoughts than what I'm going to share tonight, because I need to talk about Oscar stuff. Go check out that review. It was a lot of fun. Just real quick, like the not spoiler for Scream 6, but spoiler for my review. It's my favorite Scream after the first one. So really good. Very much enjoyed it. So go check that out. Anyways, looking at the chat, I see we have Jeremy Miller, Garth McMurray. What Real Entertainment has subscribed? Finally. Thank you, sir.
About time.
Page Turners, they were not. Hello, Brendan. And yeah, Jeremy Miller. Asher Angel is 20, so he's not a kid anymore. I saw an image of him and the other kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's his name? Jack?
Where'd you see the image at?
It wasn't an image. It was an interview, like they were doing the press, and it's the two of them. And I was like, these two look like adults. How are they sitting here like talking about being kids?
It's because they're adults now.
Like either they're going to stop the Shazam movies, or like he's going to have to start being played by Zachary Levi as a kid also, or they're going to end up doing the stuff like they did with what's her face for Orphan First Kill, where they had like everyone else on platform shoots to make them look taller while she looks shorter without actually de-aging her. So,
yeah.
Anyways, that was kind of weird, but yeah. Anyways, I think that is it for the intro stuff. Let's get onto some news because we got a lot to cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
Oh,
how's that box office looking there, dear sir?
I don't know. How are we feeling, guys? Are we feeling okay about, how the box office has been since the pandemic ended? However you feel about the pandemic at this point.
Is it still ending?
I don't know. I don't know. I literally don't know what the mass considers the pandemic stage at this point. How do we feel about the box office since people have been going back to movies?
Feel like it's kind of shaping back up to where it should be.
We feel like it's been back to normal.
I don't think Avatar Way of Water was riding the tide quite as high as the first Avatar movie was. But I also think that obviously they're two different movies, so it is very possible that the second one was not going to rank or score or sell as high as the first one.
Yeah.
So kind of hard to judge that when there's so many other variables at play that could cause that not to be as satisfactory as the original Avatar. But
what did we usually say that the amount a horror movie makes? What would we classify as a successful horror movie in the box office?
So obviously Scream 6 is number one in the box office for this.
Please don't get ahead of me.
Well, obvious, but like, what would Scream 6 make to justify? Yeah. I would have to say it's like 50 to 60 million.
You feel like it's back to normal at 50 to 60 million?
I don't know.
Yes or no?
Well, I don't know if that's back to normal though. The problem with it is there's been such a huge time period that has shaken movie theaters. There is no more back to normal. The problem is so much time has passed that now inflation is also having a factor as to how numbers are now compared to how they were before the pandemic. So I don't know. Like, if you were just asking me how much, I honestly don't know this. If you were asking me how much money Scream 6 made this weekend, I think 50 to 60 million. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Is that how much I think it would be if there wasn't a pandemic? Probably. So yeah, it's probably back to normal. It's a long ass way of answering your question. I'm sorry.
Scream's number one this week, guys, with 44 million in the box office. I had no idea where I was going to go with that. I was just trying to get to a point where I could just scream, honestly. Thanks for letting me use that as the declaration that it's number one in the box office instead of telling everybody that was number one before I got a chance to do that. Anyway, Scream 6 is number one in the box office, guys. Number two is your Creed 3. Yeah, Creed 3 has been out for 2 weeks now. I'm just so excited.
What noise was that?
I don't know. I'm just trying to pump in some excitement for the box office, guys. Creed 3, number 2 in the box office, and its second week, it did fall to Scream 6. So the fact that Scream in its sixth outing is able to pull in enough to take that number one spot when it's got great competition in Creed 3 is pretty good. Other movie open this week is 65, opening at number 3, though, opening in that number 3 spot with about 12.3 million. So probably not the best opening for that movie, considering there's an involvement of CGI dinosaurs and whatnot. Probably a higher budget on that movie. 12 million is probably not the number they were looking for.
This probably wasn't a good time to do another dinosaur movie. Let's let dinosaurs kind of rest for a bit before we try bringing them back, because they just have not been having a good go at it lately.
At least not for a few million years. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. So that will probably get more on.
We did it. Yo, Adrian.
65 will probably get more of a pickup in streaming and home viewing than it will in the theater.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I'm definitely going to be probably watching it when it hits like a streaming service that we have access to. So.
That'll be this year's Moonfall.
Basically, I didn't watch Moonfall until like much later in the year because it took forever for it to hit a streaming service. And I enjoyed Moonfall, so I don't know. We'll see if that happens with 65. Your number 4 spot goes to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which fell another 44% in its fourth week with another 7 million. That thing has made almost 200 million domestically, which is fine. It's fine. It's making pretty much its budget back domestically with marketing and everything.
We should be getting word on when it's dropping on Disney Plus pretty soon.
Yeah. The thing to note there is it's definitely not a box office failure. It's not a flop. If anyone tries to tell you it's a flop or a failure, they don't know how box office numbers work. It's definitely making its budget with marketing back domestically. It's making a lot more still internationally, so it's going to be fine. It's going to be a serviceable third outing for Ant-Man.
It's also going to probably make a lot more money because of the ties to Kang. When another movie comes out that has Kang in it and someone's like, wait, I didn't see that Quantumania. I want to see where Kang came from. And then they'll go back and watch Quantumania. So it'll make more money that way as well.
Potentially.
Sort of.
Your number 5 spot is Cocaine Bear. I feel like Cocaine Bear is going to hang out in the top 10 for a little bit.
Yeah, has potential.
Number 6 is Champions, a new release.
Cocaine Bear will stay up for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 6 is Champions. It's a new release starring Woody Harrelson, I believe. So that one opened to about 5 million at number 6. Number 7 is Jesus Revolution. Number 8, Avatar: The Way of Water. Number 9 is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and number 10 is Operation Fortune.
All right.
The rest of the title I've refused to attempt to say.
Chris over here, put your titles in English.
All that being said, unfortunately, 80 for Brady has fallen to number 15. 80 for Brady no longer in the top 10. Probably won't be making it back to the top 10 for a while.
It needs to be re-released.
Yeah, when it's officially announced, unless it already has been, that Tom Brady is coming back out of retirement once again, then they'll probably re-release the movie saying, this movie is out of retirement. This is a marketing ploy to try to get a few more sales off of it in the movie theaters.
Morbius was re-released in theaters. Come on, you bastards.
You got to get out there and see it again. Morbius re-release, 80 for Brady re-release. One movie that it will probably definitely be re-released when it comes out. I'm ready for another trailer so that I can put more footage into that and do more fun things with it.
We should have one coming out pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if there actually is one attached to Shazam, with it being a WB property.
So, yeah, possibly. The problem here is that a lot of people are up against Disney right now for them having put a movie trailer to Little Mermaid in the Oscars. Meanwhile, WB was also celebrating 100 years of being a working movie studio, I guess. In which case, it would have been fair if they wanted to celebrate both studios celebrating 100 years by putting a movie trailer for a WB property coming out soon, which would have been a good time to put a Barbie movie trailer, out during the Oscars. That would have been hilarious and fantastic. Missed opportunity.
I'm looking at stuff here. I'm willing to bet actually we're probably not going to get the next trailer until Super Mario Brothers.
Fascinating. Speaking of missed opportunities and Oscars, did y'all know that Oscar-winning film Everything Everywhere All at Once could have ended with Michelle Yeoh singing Barbie Girl in a parking lot?
Why? Why and where are you reading this?
Insider.
Oh, okay.
Insider posted an article saying that Everything Everywhere All at Once could have ended with Michelle Yeoh's character singing Barbie Girl in a parking lot, says the film's editor.
Chris quickly added this to the deleted scenes section of IMDb.
Yes. I also got a job at Insider and wrote this entire article.
20 out of 35 people found this helpful.
It's fascinating. Earlier cut of the movie starring Michelle Yeoh ended with her character singing Barbie Girl, a song by pop group Aqua, in a parking lot. Roger said that the movie almost ended with Evelyn's husband, Waymond, ripping up their divorce papers. In this alternate ending, the duo then went out to a parking lot and launched into a rendition of Barbie Girl on an old karaoke machine. And then everyone in the party comes out in the parking lot and they all sing Barbie Girl together. Which, honestly, par for the course with that movie, I guess.
That actually would have been pretty funny.
Could have been a unique way of ending it. Maybe they could have pulled Margot Robbie in there. It says the movie's editors had to cut the earlier scene where the characters sing the song together because it just came out of nowhere and made no sense.
Yeah, because so sorry for the kids watching, but yeah, because the fighting with the butt plugs made sense.
Yeah. The movie's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and you cut a scene because something in that movie made no sense. Came out of nowhere. All of it came from nowhere all at once, and it made no sense. Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is the Barbie movie news is light this week, y'all. I know that really had absolutely nothing to do with the Barbie movie, but I thought connection to an Oscar-winning film while we're talking about Oscars and whatnot, it worked. It worked. It just worked.
Yeah. Feel better? Guys, this past week, we've gotten 2 new posters released. We've got this amazing, astonishing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 poster, which is terrible because there's no floating heads in it.
Boo. Art style. Boo. This isn't true art.
We essentially have a floating Tom Cruise and a floating motorcycle, but no floating heads, so it doesn't technically count as a movie poster. It is a teaser poster, which means we will probably get the floating heads in the next one. Speaking of which, we also got the first, I guess, teaser poster for Fast X. Now that's a movie poster.
Floating heads.
The floating heads.
It's more like floating torsos.
Like I've said this before, the X and the Fast X logo there at the bottom kind of makes me think that like Dom and his family are teaming up with Wolverine and his family, the X-Men. Like it looks like the X-Men logo, but whatever. I mean, granted, yes, this is a floating heads poster, but I actually kind of like it. I think it, like, the color scheme works pretty well with the cars on the bottom and the Oscar carpet color on the top. So, very champagne and khaki.
Champagne khaki.
Yeah.
So, here's the truth of this is that honestly, I like the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning poster way better.
I do too. Like
it's so much more unique.
Yeah, it's majestic. You got the mountains. This would actually be one that I would have liked it if we got the same image but remove the words Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise and leave just the words like Dead Reckoning, July 14th.
In the bike.
Yeah, leave Tom Cruise in the bike and everything else, remove all the other. I think going minimalistic with that design would have probably made it look a lot better or a lot cooler. So
it's Tom Cruise in those stunts. They sell every single time.
Yeah.
We could almost, do like a whole look back on other Mission Impossible posters. I think a lot of the more recent Mission Impossible movies have done posters on the main stunt of the movie, essentially, that is shown off in the trailer. Like, I'm pretty sure whichever one it was that he was holding onto the side of the plane, I'm pretty sure that was the poster for that movie too.
Ghost Protocol,
yeah. Or him on like the Burj Khalifa. Like, I'm pretty sure that was also the poster for the movie as well.
No, that one was Ghost Protocol. The side of the plane was Rogue Nation. I think.
Right. Correct.
I don't know. Correct. They're all one giant movie at this point, besides the second one. That one's a little.
Yeah.
That's its own thing.
Doves.
Yeah. Xander Cage will be Dom's other brother. It's a secret XXX crossover, triple X crossover.
Yeah, you don't want to cross over with XX. That's something completely different.
That'll get butts and seats.
Funny enough, his name is still Vin Diesel.
Yeah. That MI poster looks like a GoPro poster. It's missing a little bit of the fisheye lens touch to the edges, but yeah.
Still just as fun, as thrilling.
Anyways, Let's move on to some bigger news that just dropped today. On Twitter, James Gunn has confirmed something that we kind of already knew. I think he hinted at it before, but I guess it waited till today, right before we went live. Thank you, Mr. Gunn, to announce this. He says, yes, I'm directing Superman Legacy to be released on July 11th, 2025. My brother Matt told me when he saw the release date, he started to cry. I asked him why. He said, dude, it's Dad's birthday. I hadn't realized, which is extremely touching.
Oh,
Like that is super sweet. So aside the family cuteness aside, I have some thoughts on this. And when I first heard that James Gunn was potentially going to be directing, this was my first initial thought. First of all, Chris, what do you think of this news?
Hasn't James? I know James Gunn didn't direct it, but didn't he produce a Superman movie already?
He was going. I think he was going to direct, but then he was busy with one of the other like Guardians or prepping the Suicide Squad. So he passed it off. He still stayed on as like an executive producer for Brightburn.
Regardless, I know that James Gunn knows Superman. I know that he loves Superman. I can tell that as far as potential directors out there, there's probably a handful of them that could do a good Superman movie at this point. I feel like, there's a couple things. James Gunn's style, as we've seen with like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, is definitely not the same tone as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that James Gunn knows this, recognizes this, and he's able to switch gears. And I think that's probably why he's the one that wants to direct the movie, because I think he wants to challenge himself to do something different than what he's done before in other movies that he's directed. I think this could be good. I think it's potential to be very good. I'm not worried at all about this being an R-rated Superman with like really weird graphic violence in it. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think WB would allow him to do that. I know he's in charge of the DC at this point, but I don't think that they'd go for him doing a R-rated violent Superman. So
no,
I'm not worried at all about this being weird. I don't even think it'll be as weird as Guardians of the Galaxy. I think there'll definitely be elements of his colorful nature in it, but no,
Garth, no.
no. But I don't think we're gonna see just his usual James Gunn-ness really kind of stick in this movie.
Yeah. So my takeaway on this, my thought that I have is kind of a real simple comparison, I would think. James Gunn is in charge of the DCU. Kevin Feige is in charge of the MCU. You don't see Kevin Feige directing a movie. He's too busy running the MCU. So I'm a little apprehensive when I'm thinking about the workload, especially on the DCU. They have such a high target that they need to hit to make sure that they're successful, make sure they're profitable, make sure people enjoy it. That I feel like James Gunn probably should be more focused on just creating and building up and producing the DCU. I think it might be a little bit much on his plate to be doing that while also focusing on directing a movie.
So I feel like I have an answer to that. First part is we bring up the Kevin Feige comparison. Kevin Feige is not a director. Kevin Feige is just a producer. So there's that aspect.
Wanted to direct.
It's one piece. That's one piece of it.
Yeah.
That's an aspect of it. The second thing is that the DCU has two individuals who are in charge of running the DCU, not just one. It's James Gunn and Peter Safran. So if James Gunn wants to direct one of the movies that exists in the DCU, I think that there's enough wiggle room with responsibilities that he can actually spend some time directing. As far as him being in charge of kind of just the creative side of things go, there's really only a need to formulate a plan and then act on that plan. He can formulate the plan. They can, as a whole unit, act on the plan. And then as that's running, he can have time to direct a movie. It works out perfectly fine. Meanwhile, Peter Safran's still taking care of the actual like business side of the deals, which he was going to do regardless of whether James Gunn directs the movie or not. So I think in that sense, James Gunn's perfectly free to direct an installment in the franchise if he wants to. I actually expect that we'll probably see him direct multiple movies in the DCU, not just the Superman movie. And a lot of that also might be just on the WB wants to just get the ball rolling really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And with that one being kind of the first installment in the new DCU, essentially, it just saves time, effort, and energy just for him to be the director on it rather than go to anyone else as well.
So kind of the way I'm thinking of it is thinking back at the beginning of the MCU, when Iron Man and Incredible Hulk came out, we weren't necessarily thinking about Jon Favreau. Most everyone was looking, or sorry, not Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige. Most everyone was looking at Jon Favreau because Jon Favreau was the name that everyone already knew by then. And he was setting himself up to be like the producer to kind of help usher the beginning of the MCU. He was also directing Iron Man. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's possible. I'm definitely not hating the idea of James Gunn directing Superman. It's just me being the type of person I am and how much stuff I always have on my plate at any given time. I'm like, whoo, if that was me, that's a lot. But I mean, if he can do it and it's successful, way more power to him. And I will be a fan of James Gunn till the day I die. So
I think at the end of the day, it's all speculation on our part to understand truly how much work it takes to be in creative control of the entire franchise and how much creative control or how much work it takes to also direct one of the installments.
Yeah. Kind of a counterpoint to this, though. Freaking Zack Snyder. Let's talk about Zack Snyder for a minute.
Do we have to?
I don't want to, but if y'all haven't, if you're under a rock that probably has googly eyes on it, and
if you haven't been on Twitter today,
talks to its daughter or mother, So Zack Snyder dropped a teaser video of like Prepare for War or whatever it was,
something,
and it had like a short voiceover by what sounded like Darkseid, obviously Darkseid, teasing something's coming soon.
The end of April.
Yeah, like we're in the process of trying to move on. The DCU with James Gunn is the new normal, and we're trying to like dissuade the people. Like, why Snyder? I was like, don't get me wrong, I like Zack Snyder. Some of his work I'm a huge fan of. Some of it, not so much. But in general, I like the guy. Why? Why are you punishing us?
More so just in terms of punishing us is that it's just rising the ranks of all the Snyder, what do they call them, the Snyder cult or something like that? I don't know. The people on Twitter who are like, finish the Snyderverse, finish it.
You gotta start first.
They're all the ones right now who are like, you need to fire James Gunn. That guy is blah, 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 whatever insult they want to use this week. Which, you know, there's a lot of like unfounded stuff, hatred towards James Gunn for all of that. It's just the whole thing is just a giant mess. And then Zack Snyder put this out today, which apparently some people are claiming he's gotten more hits, views, and all of that on this one little teaser for God knows what than James Gunn got on his announcement for what's going to happen with the DCU, which fine. Okay. I don't care. I don't care if it got more hits because we don't know what it is. Yeah. A lot of people are like, yes, it's going to be sold to Netflix and Netflix will finish the Snyderverse and he'll get to do one more movie to finish it all off. And probably not. Probably not going to happen.
He could put the Superman logo on a potato and people will be like, oh my God, what is he doing? So
there's a lot of theories out there. There's a SnyderCon. I don't know what that is. Apparently it's like a little convention thing about Zack Snyder. I don't know what that is. I guess it's something that exists. I don't know. I've seen it on Twitter multiple times, people talking about it, that this could be a teaser for that. Or that it could be a teaser for literally almost anything else, and he's just using Darkseid. Either way, I think it's a troll. I think it's just a giant troll. I think it's just a giant, big old troll. I think he is utilizing the widespread audience that he's got on Twitter to kind of promote something he's doing, but it's not what they all think it is. Which is honestly the funniest thought in my head. The other thought that I've seen on Twitter, and I think this one could be true, is that he's essentially been allowed to finish the Snyderverse in a different medium. Maybe like a comic or, a graphic novel, a regular novel, something, animated movie, something. He's been tasked with being able to finish it, do one more installment of something in some other different form other than a live action film. And if that's the case, cool. If it's coming out as a comic book, if it's coming out as an animated movie or something like that, cool. Dope. That's awesome. Great way to wrap it up. It, probably leaves a lot of people unhappy because they want the live action movie, but DC's great with animation. I'm saying if this is just some kind of like, hey, we're going to complete the Snyderverse, we're going to give it a final, good wrap up. We're gonna put the nail in the coffin in a proper way, but we're gonna do it in animated form. I'm all for that. Go for it. Do your thing. But release it direct to streaming or video or something like that. Don't bother with the theater. Don't do this whole thing where people think there's some kind of way for there still to be a big Snyderverse movie.
Don't give me hope. Yeah. Quick theory though. See what you think about this, because I just realized it. What if Zack Snyder could be potentially directing like a New Gods movie in the DCU? It's not the Snyderverse. He's still a director, so he can still direct movies. What if he is directing a movie under James Gunn for the DCU?
I think that it's plausible. I don't know if it... I think it's good in theory. I don't know if it's good in practicality because we as a general public do not know where he currently stands with Warner Brothers. Given everything that went down between him and Warner Brothers, I'm surprised they even let him finish his cut of the movie. But two, I just don't know that he is on great terms with Warner Brothers at this point. So I don't know that he's willing to come in and direct anything in the DCU for them. So plausible that they could have mended relationship without all of us knowing. We don't always need to know everything that happens all the time.
All at once. But I have my doubts. That happened. I think that there's potentially still bad blood between him and Warner Brothers. I don't think that he's going to be willing to direct anything for them. So it's a neat idea, and I think it would appease a lot of people because I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Our boy's going to direct a movie in the new DCU. Okay, cool. Sounds good to us." But then I think a lot of people, if that's the case, I think also there's going to be a portion of people who are going to be like, "You turned your back on us. You didn't finish what you started, and you're teaming up with the enemy. How dare you?" And that'll be a whole new conversation on Twitter that'll be fun to watch. Either way, I need this to hurry up and get here so we can move on past it because it's going to be a nightmare between now and the end of April. With a lot of the Zack Snyder people on Twitter going, "Oh, Snyderverse is happening!" Aye! Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Netflix has canceled a Nancy Meyers movie.
How dare!
Not the smartest idea. They're saying that basically Nancy Meyers was the reason that it was canceled was because of budget. Nancy Meyers was asking for a budget of at least $150 million. Netflix did not want to give her more than $130 million. Mainly the reason that Nancy Meyers was wanting it because she wanted to secure a certain number of actors in it, big name actors, including people like Scarlett Johansson, who typically carries a hefty price tag to her name to be in movies. Nancy Meyers is usually a pretty safe bet when it comes to movies. She's got a very defined style, and idea to her movies, and she does very well at those. But yeah, like I don't know, like denying that in this day and age, and I doubt it's necessarily they're like, yeah, we don't want to give a female director 150 million. I severely doubt it's because of that, even though that's what usually the internet is going to flock to because they need a reason why. Yeah, I really think it's just Netflix has a set number in their of a budget in mind, and they refuse to stray from that. They're refusing that creative freedom that, say, in this case, Nancy Meyers may have for this movie. And I feel like when, as a studio, as someone who's trying to make content, if you're stifling that creativity, specifically in budget, it hurts. It hurts in general because you're trying to stifle creativity. Two, you're basically admitting to the general public, yeah, I don't believe in Nancy Meyers, which is not a good look for someone major like Netflix to do to someone who has such a very lavish career like Nancy Meyers. So.
Yeah. I think the issue at the end of the day is when you're saying that Netflix wants to keep to a budget, you're like, oh, now Netflix wants to keep to a budget. Awfully convenient. They want to do it now. All the money they've been throwing around all over the place. Obviously, when the situation happened with hey, we're going to stop people from being able to share passwords and whatnot. Oh, well, that's not happening this year for America. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, guys. It's okay. Now they're wanting to keep to a budget on movies. I don't know. You say Netflix is, having another bright idea. Well, I think bright ideas and Netflix go as well together as peanut butter and arsenic at this point. It's not two great tastes that go great together. They should. And maybe they should be putting forth a budget on this, but I don't know. A lot, folks in the chat saying, 130 is too much. Lego saying that a straightforward rom-com should never cost over 50 million. I don't disagree with that.
Is it a rom-com where the moon falls on planet Earth?
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but at the same time,
yeah,
I don't know.
So
I guess there's a route where we don't have enough information as to was there talks at all between Nancy Meyers and Netflix about, hey, what can we do about the budget on this thing? Can we do something to work out a smaller budget for this film? Or did they just haul off and go see the original budget and go, nope.
So what it sounds like is this movie is a rom-com. Supposedly it was going to star Scarlett Johansson, Penelope Cruz, Michael Fassbender, Owen Wilson. These are all people that have been, I guess, it says they were circling roles, so it may not necessarily actually star them.
They weren't in writing.
But it says here, the film would have centered on a young writer-director who falls in love with a producer. The pair makes several successful films before breaking up, both romantically and professionally. They are forced back together when a new project arises, and they find themselves having to deal with high stakes and volatile stars. I'm reading this verbatim from the Hollywood Reporter. So, yeah. Just based off of that synopsis alone, I can't see it justifying 130 million, unless, like I said, it seems like it may be because of the star power that she wants behind it. Especially if it's about filmmaking, writer-director duo. It may involve a lot more stars, a lot more cameos, which all means a lot more money. She may be trying to make this thing star-studded to fit within the confines of Hollywood pictures, much like Babylon did or La La Land, trying to fit within that mold of Hollywood type of scenario. I don't know. It sounds like it's the only way to resolve it is for someone to convince the stars, the actors, to potentially take less up front, which I always feel like I don't know Hollywood at all. Never been actually involved in Hollywood. So I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about here, but I feel like that would be something very harsh to ask ask an actor. I've heard of actors that are like, say they waive their usual fee, or they're accepting of taking a lower pay because they're passionate about the project being made. Maybe they'll take a percentage of the profits off the back end. But yeah, I can't see like, oh, Scarlett Johansson, we would love to have you. And she's like, cool, I make 50 million per movie. Like, we're going to need you to take 10. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what's causing the budget to skyrocket like that. Is it literally just having a ton of people who ask for a lot in terms of actors, or what? I don't know. But
there is a way there. So Netflix, a lot like all the streamers, they do have a way of calculating the numbers. Obviously, they can see how many people are clicking on that movie. They can see like who's watching that movie the whole way through, like much like YouTube. We can see how many people essentially click on our videos, how much of the video you're watching. Are you watching the whole thing? When we do a review, are you watching that whole 10-minute review? Are you only watching a portion? And we can see which portion you're watching. Best example was the Oscars watch along last year. We go back in there and we can see that most people who click on the video are only watching our reaction to the slap.
Yeah.
So like we can see that Netflix, Disney, HBO Max, or I guess Max, whatever they want to call themselves pretty soon. They're all they can all see numbers like that. And they have ways of tracking that and putting a value on that, a monetary value. So are people just watching the Barbie watch part of the tagline? I mean, sometimes.
Wait, are they?
Possibly. It depends on how busy Lego gets. If she's like in a hurry to do stuff and she just really wants to get her Barbie watch fixed, yeah, she probably could.
Oh, well, and guess what the whole show is going to be now? I welcome to the entire show, which is now called Barbie Watch.
I can't believe you played the entire clip again just for the joke. I was expecting you to play it and like, haha, that's funny, and then turn it off. But no,
I'm committed to the bit.
Whole damn thing.
I am committed to the bit.
God. Anyways, speaking of movie directors, Tarantino has reportedly announced that he's in the process of writing his final film, which is right now being called The Movie Critic. Not much is known. Apparently, it looks like that people are suspecting that this is going to be a 1970s, a late 1970s movie focusing on female critic Pauline Kael. I don't know too much about her actually, but this sounds like it could be interesting. Tarantino does have a extreme fondness for Hollywood, especially lately, given like his last movie. So it could possibly make sense that he wants to revisit that again for his final movie.
He's getting very like poetic with it all, it seems. From Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to just in general. I mean, even if you go back to like almost all his other movies at some point in some way have something to do with the movies, it feels like. Maybe not like Django Unchained necessarily, other than maybe like its theming and kind of like the inspirations for parts of it. But if you go back and you look at Inglourious Bastards, obviously that movie had a lot to do with movies within the movie. You know, it's just one of the things that you can tell that Quentin Tarantino is very passionate about. He's a passionate film director that loves just film in general. You see him on like any of the late night shows and he's asked like, what are your top 10 favorite movies, or what are your favorite movies about this or that? And he's just rattling movies that the bulk of us have never heard of before.
He's rattling off movies that I'm almost certain that William Bibiani has probably never heard of before.
Quentin Tarantino is like, yeah, he's one of those that just has like deep cut Hollywood knowledge. So yeah, for him to do another movie that's essentially about Hollywood, about like film, about, or even at this point, like movie critics as his final film, that makes sense. Now, the question is, when we say final film and when he says final film, Is that a fib? Or is that true? Because I feel like he's been saying he's going to do a final film for like a decade now. At least, if not longer.
Yeah. So also from the Hollywood Reporter, the filmmaker has long maintained that he had a finite number of movies in him, saying he wanted to direct 10 films or retire by the time he was 60. The director has made 9, if you count the 2 Kill Bill movies as one movie, essentially, and turned 60 later this month. He said he also has espoused a philosophy that directors get out of touch as they age. In 2012, he told Playboy, "I want to stop at a certain point. Directors don't get better as they get older. Usually the worst films in their filmography are those last 4 at the end. I'm all about my filmography, and one bad film fucks up 3 good ones. I don't want that bad, out-of-touch comedy in my filmography, the movie that makes people think, oh man, he still thinks it's 20 years ago. When directors get out of date, it's not pretty." Which is kind of a harsh criticism. I mean...
Yeah, eat your heart out, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, like he's not calling people out in general there, but I'm almost certain that he does have people in mind like Scorsese potentially. He's got these like big lofty names that he's wanting to use as an example, but he's still smart enough not to actually say any names.
Yeah. Here's the thing, all that is,
A great Nickelodeon show.
It definitely sounds like that he's given it some fair consideration, that he's actually like really deeply thought about this, because I think he's coming up with a very logical reason as to why it makes sense for him to bow out after one more movie. But he is still at his heart a creative. He still wants to create. He still likes to tell stories. He could move on to writing. He could move on to, plays. He could move on to another medium of some form. But in his heart, he's always going to have that, wow, that would make a really good movie. I would really love to make that movie. And that's going to be in there. That's going to be in there until the day he dies. That's just the nature of a creative at his level, with his level of passion. That's going to be the nature of directors of his caliber. There's always going to be one more story to tell. So he may feel that way right now, but I don't necessarily believe that it's going to be one more movie. He may do one more movie and then be like, I'm out, guys. I'm going to dip. And he may be telling the truth in that moment, but 5 years later, he may be like, you know what?
I got the itch.
You know what?
I'm going to make one.
I had this idea. And
I got a story to tell. Yeah.
I got to make this movie. And Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are down for it. So we're going to make this movie. Okay.
Yeah. Can I get some feet? I feel like he's the type of person that, he has this lofty idea in mind, and he means well, but when it comes down to it, he's gonna get that creative bug, and he's like, I need to create something. It's in my blood. It's in my nature. I'm not Quentin Tarantino unless I'm creating something. What's that stupid Allstate commercial right now with Mayhem that he's talking about, like little girls on social media? It's like, if I'm not on social media, I don't feel seen. That's Tarantino. If I'm not making a movie, I don't feel seen. I don't feel creative. I don't feel like Quentin Tarantino. I feel like that's how he could potentially be. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up making an 11th movie another 5, 6, 10 years later.
Quentin Tarantino does not make one more movie and then go sip Mai Tais on the beach for the rest of his life.
No.
Now, it might be true. It might actually be true that he'll make one more movie and then not actually direct another movie. But he will not fully retire from movies. He will still write. He will still produce. He'll probably create movies and then handpick a director himself to direct movies that he'll write. So
I like it when like Garth puts stuff in the chat here, and you can see the brain process in his head as he goes from Wiki Feet to Wookie Feet. You said Wiki feet, and you're like, that sounds like Wookiee feet. I'm going to make a Star Wars reference. I can see the connection there.
I believe Star Wars is the last franchise that Quentin Tarantino will probably make a movie in.
He was going to do a Star Trek there for a little while.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do a Star Wars at this point.
No, well, I don't think Disney will allow him to do a Star Wars. They're not asking Tarantino, hey, can you come over here and do a Star Wars movie where there's just a alien that's nothing but a walking bunch of feet and they just shoot up an entire Mos Eisley cantina?
What I'm saying is if the offer was on the table, he wouldn't do it. Ever since that whole, what was it? The Hateful Eight controversy with the theaters when Force Awakens came out, that whole situation that did not bode well for him. He was very angry about that. So I don't see him ever doing Star Wars.
No, I don't either. But maybe he'll do another one. So I can't remember. Has he ever actually gotten an Oscar
for directing?
Inglourious? I think if he did, it would have been for Inglourious Bastards.
It would have been for Inglourious or
maybe Pulp Fiction. I'm actually really curious. Like, I'm trying to use this as a transition to the main topic here, but now I actually want to know.
Maybe Django Unchained. I don't know. He didn't get the director for that, for sure.
Good Lord, he's got a long list on a long page on IMDb. He was nominated for Best Picture for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He has one screenplay, Oscar screenplay for Pulp Fiction and Django. That's all he's won as far as Oscars. He's been nominated for Pulp Fiction, Inglourious, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for director. But
that's kind of crazy that he hasn't won director.
Yeah, so like that would be a thing. Maybe he wants to make that one last movie to really try to clinch in that best director.
I mean, I could see him making it and then giving it to him just for the lifetime achievement of it all.
Potentially. So speaking of the Oscars, did you see that segue? Y'all didn't see that coming, did you? That was a good segue. Let's talk about the Oscars. Obviously, we did like a 4+ hour watch along, so we got a lot of good thoughts like as we were watching it live. But now that it's been a couple of days, and I said this during the watch along, there's going to be things that either get revealed or like little stuff we just didn't know within that moment that we want to go back and talk about and reference. So yeah, that's what this is for right now. So we're going to try to make this quick. I know, again, I'm trying to stay away from being as long-winded as I am, but yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff pertaining to the Oscars that I think would be fun to talk about. First thing I want to talk about right off the bat is easily the biggest thing of the night, and that would be the big Jamie Lee Curtis win. This tweet. Apparently, at the Academy Oscars, their carpet is going to match my drapes. Why? Why was the carpet? Why was the carpet champagne color? Like, seriously, it seems like they were prepping for the celebs, like getting drunk and spilling their champagne on the carpet anyways. But I mean, it would come out clear. It wouldn't really stay in a red carpet. I don't know why they changed the color.
If this is the biggest controversial thing from the Oscars, that the carpet was a weird color, well done, not. Oscars.
Yeah, it would be, or you would hope, but it's not. It's not the biggest thing.
Oh.
We'll get to those. Definitely. But yeah, moving on. First of all, Jimmy Kimmel. Do we feel like he's hosted the Oscars like what, 3 times now? Do we feel like he has the potential to become the new Billy Crystal?
I think he does a great job. I think he's been doing a great job hosting Oscars. I think he is safe. He is a safe pick. He is not going to do anything too lavish and crazy. He's going to do just enough to be like, Jimmy, I gotcha. But he's not going to be like a Ricky Gervais, and he's not going to be anything that you're going to have to really worry about. He is safe, but he's also good. I think he's perfectly fine. I I don't know if I would say he's like the new Billy Crystal, because I think it may be nostalgia brain, but your Billy Crystals, your old school Oscar hosts like him, they're just there's something just classic about it. There's something just classic about them hosting it. So I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel's going to be the same.
He needs to pull up a musical number.
Yeah, and do a musical number. I think if they I really want them to just get Steve Martin and Martin Short to host one year. I think you get them to host, it's going to be one of the best Oscars in terms of like the comedy level.
I did like as far as like Jimmy Kimmel pushing the envelope, so to speak, on shedding light on the snubs. Like he called out Viola Davis for being snubbed. And then to make the joke of like James Cameron's not getting a director nom, what does the Academy think he is? A woman? Like, ouch, that's harsh. Like, I don't know any company I've ever worked for. If I ever said anything like that publicly about that company, I wouldn't be working for them anymore. So that's crazy that he's allowed to do that. And we haven't heard anything from the Academy going, we wish that Mr. Kimmel didn't speak ill of us.
It's on the voting members of the Academy, though. I mean, it's a joke pointed directly towards them. So it's not necessarily the owners, the business side of the Academy that is to blame here. It's the people who are voting.
Yeah. Him talking about James Cameron and Tom Cruise have been trying to get people in the theater, but they didn't show up to the theater. That was hilarious. I was kind of like a little apprehensive on whether or not they should make jokes about the slap, but I honestly think they handled it pretty well. I feel like it was done in pretty good taste. They did bring it up, obviously, but I don't feel like it went overboard. Like, I feel like they could have pushed it a lot more than they actually did and probably still be okay, but I feel like it was done very well. I did like his, if you assault someone tonight, you will get Best Actor in a 19-minute acceptance speech. That was great. That's so funny. Or we'll probably do like we did last year. Nothing.
I do like that. There are some people who thought, "Oh, did Will Smith sneak in that bear costume? That would be crazy." In reality, I wonder how many people making jokes that Will Smith is going to sneak up and something. How many people remembered that Homeboy is not going to be at the Oscars for the next 9 years?
He probably doesn't. He himself probably doesn't want to be there.
I think he'd like to be there, but he's banned from attending for another 9 years still. Yeah. He's like a full decade away still from being able to show back up to the Oscars. So
I will say something I'm extremely disappointed about is him talking about getting danced off by Nato Nato. What I'm disappointed about is they didn't actually do that, and I would have loved it if they did. That would have been hilarious. Could you imagine Kehe Kwan in the middle of his that extremely emotional acceptance speech if the Nato Nato guys just came out and danced him up? Like, the internet would be in an uproar.
And I want to also thank Harrison Ford for being there for me. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, here we go. All right, we're going. Thank you.
By the way, I just sat here and danced and showed off I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt underneath this. So good job, me. Yeah, Kehe Kwan is like 10 years older than me, but he reacted like he's 30 years younger than me. He turned into a kid, and it was so adorable.
I love it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
I've made jokes before about like how I'm emotionally dead inside and it's hard to make me cry or react like that. But I was choking up some tears there while watching that. It was beautiful. Probably the biggest, most controversial thing that everyone's going to be talking about for a while is that Jamie Lee Curtis won Best Supporting Actress when everyone knew that it should be going to Angela Bassett. Again, I've said this. Jamie Lee Curtis definitely deserves an Oscar. I don't think she necessarily deserved it for that role, but she definitely deserves one. I mean, she's been in the acting business for like since the mid 70s. Yeah, she definitely deserves one. She's a hell of an actress, but I don't think she did as well in that role in Everything Everywhere All at Once more than Angela Bassett brought to her role in Wakanda Forever.
I think I think at this point, if you were going to give a supporting award to anyone other than Angela Bassett at this point, it should have been Stephanie Hsu
or Hong Chow.
Either one of them, honestly, were better than, in my opinion, were better than what Jamie Lee Curtis did in that movie. Not to say that she didn't do a good job in that movie. She did. Yeah. She did great. But those other performances I thought were better performances, and in this instance, more deserving of the award. I think, in a long list of people who deserve to be nominated, sure, throw Jamie Lee Curtis in there. There's probably another 5 women I probably would have also put on that list. At least another 5 women I would have also put on that list, growing, of course, the number to like 10. But in the 10 women I would put on there, Jamie Lee Curtis would probably show up still. That said, there was definitely a couple other women on that list who I personally think should have gotten it before Jamie Lee Curtis this year.
Yeah. Even like the other one who was nominated on there was Carrie Condon for Banshees. I'll be honest, I think Carrie Condon probably should have gotten that over Jamie Lee Curtis as well. I liked her role in Banshees more than I liked Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ultimately, this comes down to whether or not I think the voting members of the Academy just decided to vote for Jamie Lee Curtis because Jamie Lee Curtis. She hasn't won yet? She hasn't been nominated?
Well, let's give her one.
Give her one.
Yeah. And
granted, you could say the same thing for Angela Bassett in terms of she hasn't won yet? Give her one.
Yeah, but I think Angela Bassett had the better performance. I mean, even still, if you need to give that award to someone from Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Hsu was more deserving because she had the bigger, more emotional role in that movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis was an IRS person that had hot dogs for fingers at one point. Like in one world, she had an emotional relationship with Evelyn. So, I mean, I get that, but she wasn't a major emotional center to that movie. She was just a third antagonist, kind of like just a background antagonist that popped up here and there. Had like one small bit thing that was pretty much concluded by halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see Angela Bassett
and
do the thing.
Again, like we'll be clear about this for anybody watching this now, watching this on the replay. These are our opinions. You're allowed to have your own opinion. If you really feel like Jamie Lee Curtis was the more deserving of all of them, you are absolutely allowed to have that opinion. So,
and I'm not going to hate anyone for that, but yeah,
I just think that there was definitely better choices this year than her.
Yeah. Let's talk about that Little Mermaid trailer. First of all,
it happened. There was a trailer, sort of.
First of all, before we get into anything else, so if you watched our watch along, obviously we did a live reaction to the trailer during the Oscars with the intention of clipping it out after the Oscars were over, putting it together with a proper intro and everything, thumbnail, pumping it out as our own reaction. Problem. The trailer that played during the Oscars was only like a minute long, and the one that was released publicly on YouTube was like over 2 minutes. It was severely edited down. I distinctly remember this because during our live reaction, I was like, well, they didn't really show Sebastian or Flounder or Scuttle or anything. We barely saw like Triton or Ursula. And then I'm watching this new trailer and all of the characters are in it. Like any characters that you wanted to see were in that trailer, including the Ursula's Eels, Flotsam, and Jetsam. So it was like, well, okay then. So because of that, I'm not able to find like the minute-long trailer, and no one wants to see us react to the 1 minute-long trailer. They want to see us react to the 2 minute. We could have potentially done a trailer reaction, but after live streaming for like 4+ hours, I just don't want to. Want to eat and relax and go to bed.
The time at that point was more valuable than the potential the potential output on the channel.
Yeah,
which would be very minimum.
Especially because I got to get up and work the next morning at a new job, and I don't need to be going into work like dead tired, even though I was anyways because of the stupid time change. But whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
there's controversy in this, the Little Mermaid trailer, in the fact that ABC is a Disney-owned channel, and so therefore they chose to use Oscar time to show off a trailer for one of their movies, when obviously they're not going to give Oscar time to Warner Brothers doing a trailer or Universal or anyone else. Like, no one else really got that. So it's kind of like unfair marketing. Looking into this, though, I did find out that what had happened behind the scenes is, was it Melissa McCarthy and Halle Bailey did their presentation about it, talking about it. If you were there in the Dolby Theater, they cut to the commercial break. No one in the Dolby Theater actually saw the trailer. That trailer actually aired as a commercial, not actually taking up the time dedicated to the Oscars.
Which is why it immediately cut to commercials once we saw the trailer while we were watching.
Yes. So in actuality, the Oscars cut to commercial, and it just so happened to be the first commercial was that Little Mermaid trailer.
Yeah.
Much kind of like what they did with the Warner Brothers 100 years segment as well. Mm-hmm. The people in the Dolby Theater did not actually see that video. They heard that they were talking about it, and then it just cut to commercial, and we at home saw the commercial of the 100 years of the Warner Brothers.
Same with Disney. Disney had the 100 years also.
Yeah. So I saw Dan Murrell and William Bibiani were both like upset about that they essentially were using that time. Like, I still feel like I feel like it was in bad taste just during the Oscars just to even present the trailer. Like, I'm fine with them presenting and talking about the 100 years of Warner Brothers and then cutting the commercial, letting that be ad time. But to spend the time actually during the Oscars to talk about an upcoming movie, that's kind of in poor taste when you're supposed to be showing off a show that is supposed to be airing on the side of fairness all around. As fair as the Academy can be. Let's just... So, yeah, that was a little weird. I don't know if we'll ever see something like that ever again. Just because that's...
I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. I get it. I understand that side of it. I understand don't use the time of the ceremony to promote a new movie. At the same time, in my mind, like, I don't care. I truly don't care. Like, maybe I should care, but I don't. If they turned around and were like, and they actually put it out there, every studio, if you guys have a movie you want to promote, we don't mind playing your trailer during the Oscars. You know, maybe not in the ceremony, maybe you just play it in the commercial breaks, but regardless, if WB has like Barbie, they want to promote Barbie, you know, Disney's got The Little Mermaid, Universal's got Fast and Furious or whatever. Like, everybody's got their movie they want to promote during the Oscars. We're celebrating movies. You might as well play some movie trailers during the thing. I don't care. The general audience doesn't care. I don't know that most people actually care.
So part of the reason why this was done is this was supposedly the trailer that was going to be playing during the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Remember, there was supposed to be a Little Mermaid trailer that we had a very great suspicion that was going to drop, that would be revealing all of this stuff.
Sure.
What it seems like is at the last minute, again, that trailer being 1 minute long, is Disney decided to pull out, and instead of spending, it was $7 million per 30 seconds during the big game, instead of spending $14 million during that game to where it was going to play in front of an audience of football fans. The hell is this crap? Why am I looking at the Little Mermaid? Why is the Little Mermaid black? Yeah. Instead of playing in front of those fans.
Yes. In this situation, all football fans are racist, apparently.
I don't know. Just, I feel like it would cause a lot more controversy than normal. Instead of that, let's put it on ABC, a network that we own, and we don't necessarily have to pay ourselves, and we're going to save $14 million out of the marketing budget for this movie. Given the track record of these live action Disney movies, they probably need to save $14 million wherever they can.
I mean, thinking from a business perspective, solid move.
Solid move, but now here's what happens is because you decide to save $1 or $14 million.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this real quick. What's the actual repercussions that they're suffering from doing this?
I mean, not much. It's essentially kind of like we were saying. Dan Murrell didn't like it. He had something to say about it. William Bibiani had something to say about it. Who are these people in the terms and conditions in relation to Disney and Disney's budget and board of people who make decisions? Absolutely nothing.
Those are people that we, the two of us, actually, you know, love and respect.
Yeah.
But
Disney doesn't care.
ultimately, at the end of the day, oops, we did something that caused controversy online. Cool. It's going to blow over in a couple of days and no one's going to care.
Yeah. The fact that we're even talking about it for as long as we are right now, first my fault, but we're putting more light on it than anyone else. So
yeah. At the end of the day, your general audience, the most general of audiences who watch the Oscars, these are just people who just generally like movies. They don't like no one who's in the general audience watching the Oscars has any kind of like skin in the game in terms of who they think should win or shouldn't win.
Yeah.
I remember when we were younger watching the Oscars, you know, it was just fun to watch the Oscars and then talk about movies that came out. It was just a fun thing to do because we enjoyed movies and we liked seeing people win awards. Those people who exist out there who are of the same mindset, they don't care. It's only the deep cut people in the industry who are like, I don't know if Disney should have done that. And at the end of the day, Disney's not going to suffer any repercussions for it. Little Mermaid's going to make what Little Mermaid makes. And in this situation, I dare say that in terms of being online and picking and choosing your battles, this isn't one that I necessarily care to have a battle over. Like, okay, cool, they did it. Moving on. My life continues.
Yeah. Speaking of moving on, one of probably the most like heartfelt moments during the entire Oscar presentation was the creators of An Irish Goodbye spending their acceptance speech singing Happy Birthday to star James Barton.
Yeah.
That was also just as adorable.
There's just some heartwarming moments all throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, I love that they did that. Yeah, just need more positivity like that. Stop slapping people. Start singing Happy Birthday live in front of like the biggest audience of stars ever. That would be awesome.
That was wonderful. That was a wonderful
smile on his face lit up that whole room.
Yeah.
Just it was so good.
Brighter than the champagne carpet.
Yeah, easily. I'm going to talk about the musical numbers real quick. There's really only 3 that I feel like had like some major takeaways. Yeah, the one with David Byrne. I think that was the one from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Surprisingly, that wasn't the one that won.
Yeah.
So they didn't win all the awards, but the Lady Gaga song, which was from Maverick, I believe. The fact that she showed up in this really gorgeous dress, makeup done, hair done, and everything. And then when she goes to perform, she's in a t-shirt and torn jeans, no makeup. Like, that was kind of interesting.
And we got to count every single one of the pores that are on her face because we were
this close. Too close. A little too close. Hey, you got a nose hair hanging out there.
Oh, I'll pluck it later.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, though, again, as I said during the stream, Lady Gaga has an amazing singing voice, and she did a hell of a job performing that live. So
she's very talented. She's a very talented person.
The Nato Nato performance.
Nato?
Yes. Again, I wish they got the original actors to play that, but
if you really think about it for like half a second, you'll understand why they weren't there. It's because when they filmed the scene in the movie, and I'll just break this down for anybody who's wondering why the actors wouldn't show up. When they filmed the scene in the movie, it's start and stop, start and stop, start and stop.
How many cuts are there?
Yeah, they didn't do the whole sequence in one go. There's plenty of time for the actors to rest between bits and pieces of that dancing. Whereas the actual performers who did it on stage, one shot. They had to do the entire thing and bust out all that energy in one go. The actors who were in the movie do not have time to come over here, relearn the choreography again, to do it all in one go. They got other movies. That
makes sense.
It's just too much. Like, it would have been fun to see them. I would have absolutely loved to see them, but it makes complete sense that they couldn't do it.
Especially
live.
recapturing like that. Yeah, it makes sense. They're actors. They're not necessarily, and I might be wrong, but they're not necessarily professional dancers. Yes, if the clip of that was circulating Twitter yesterday or the day before, whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch this. And yeah, there are so many cuts between each section of that song. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way they sat there and did that entire dance all in one giant flow like that. So yes, it would be way too much to ask of them to come over here again, relearn the choreography, because they probably haven't done that dance in like 2.5-3 years or so, and do that all in one take live in front of all of Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, they had to get professional dancers for that.
Also consider the fact that the performance at the Oscars was like half the amount of time of the actual scene in the movie too.
Yeah, they took out a lot of, like, the actual performance in the movie had a lot of like solos, like drum solos and stuff. They took out a lot of those and they stuck mainly to the parts of the song that have vocals in it.
All that said, the performance still mind-blowing. Still really good.
Yeah. I'm happy it won. Like, that was the big one that I was really, really rooting for. So
I am seeing a lot of people on there say that Lady Gaga and Rihanna were robbed, and I'm like, y'all haven't seen RRR, have you?
Well, Rihanna's actually the next one I want to talk about. Absolutely 100%. If Naatu Naatu was not nominated, Rihanna would have gotten that easily, hands down. Like, I think Lady Gaga would have been close behind Rihanna, but that song "Lift Me Up" is. I don't listen to modern music, and I know this song. I think I was singing along with it while it was playing during the Oscars. So that is such a powerful song, and it really just drives home the feelings and emotions of that movie. Yeah. Easily Rihanna would have gotten that, but man, Naatu Naatu is such a damn good song.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate situations where was it Wizard of Oz loses Best Picture because it was up against Gone with the Wind. In this situation, Rihanna loses Best Song because it was up against Naatu Naatu.
Which the Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz is even worse because they're both directed by the same director within the same year. Like, yeah, it's insane.
So, you know, it's a rough situation, but
her kid has performed at the Super Bowl and the Oscars. I mean, by performing, if you're talking about like the kid kicking her pancreas, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, first of all, like, no joke, Rihanna, huge, incredible props to her for doing both incredibly large stages while pregnant.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like,
keeping in mind also how much work she was in makeup and like costuming, and also how much work she put in for practicing before both. Those are both two stages. You want to make sure your game is on point before you actually perform.
The fact that she committed to being on a Super Smash Brothers stage for the big game, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's an insane thing to do while pregnant. I guarantee you there's no pregnant characters in Super Smash Brothers. So
okay, we know of.
Impressive. I don't know. Peach might have a little Mario floating around inside.
I thought Mario actually gave birth to the Yoshi eggs. Who knows?
All the way around. Yoshi gives... Never mind.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Banks and Cocaine Bear presenting visual effects. I thought that was great.
That was funny. That was so
especially
funny.
When she tripped and then she had to do like these little like feet shuffles. The fact that she was losing her voice, you know, she was already doing like all this press and all this stuff going on, and her voice was like, "Yeah, I'm tired of this shit. I've had enough."
What's funny to me also is the idea that there's a very good chance we could probably see Cocaine Bear in the visual effects category for next year's Oscars.
Possibly. They did a good job on the visual effects for that bear in that movie.
If you think about it for a second, can you just imagine? We're watching the Oscars next year, and it's like, all right, visual effects, cocaine bear. What? This Oscar winning film, Cocaine Bear.
I mean, it's possible Suicide Squad's an Oscar-winning movie as well, so who knows? But Cocaine Bear is actually a much better movie than Suicide Squad. So
it's also called Cocaine Bear. I don't even know if we're allowed to say the word cocaine this much on a YouTube live stream.
Well, neither one of us are actually doing it or actually do it in real life. So don't do drugs, kids. That was a movie. It's all fake. Cocaine doesn't actually exist.
The bear actually died in real life. Cocaine doesn't actually exist. The bear actually died in real life. So if you don't want to die, don't do cocaine.
Yeah. But yeah, like you alluded to it earlier. A lot of people were all talking about like, well, who's in the Cocaine Bear costume? Could they pull the mask off and reveal who it is? Yeah, I like the jokes about it being Will Smith. There was a lot of people, and I think even we were making this joke. It would have been hilarious if that was Matt Damon the whole time, especially at the end. When Jimmy Kimmel walks off the stage and there's that sign like how many days since the last Oscars incident, and he changes it to 0 and walks off. That would have been hilarious if the bear pops up, changes it to 1, pulls off the mask, gets Matt Damon. He gets like this grin like tee-hee, and then goes and runs off stage, presumably to slap or accost Jimmy Kimmel in some form or fashion. That would have been hilarious. I would have absolutely loved that. But
or if Jimmy Kimmel changed it to 0 and then Matt Damon pulled the head off and it's Matt Damon, and he looked at him and then went back and put it back on 1 and then walked off.
That would have been great. Did you watch Jimmy Kimmel's monologue the next night? So he actually talks about this as well, and he's like, well, so we're going to reveal for the first time who it was, and they changed to a photo of that cocaine bear with the head off. Obviously, it was Photoshop, but it was DJ Jazzy Jeff in the costume. Like, that's hilarious.
It's Jazz.
Like, they got Jazz in there. This is the first thing that Jazz was at, and Will Smith was the one who got thrown out.
They pick him up and throw him out. Was it? It wasn't. Yeah, it was Photoshopped, right? It wasn't actually him.
Yeah, it was his head Photoshopped. Yeah.
I feel like if that was actually him, they should have done some. They should have actually shown it in the actual program.
What would have been funny is if he took off like the entire Cocaine Bear costume, and you see that he's in that same like t-shirt and short combo that he was always in. Every time you watch episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, if Jazz was ever in that t-shirt and shorts combo,
you know he's getting thrown out.
His ass was getting thrown out by Uncle Phil. Yeah. That would have been hilarious. And then they change it from like the 0 to the 1. God, speaking of taking stuff off of your head, let's talk about Thames. Thames and her stupid headpiece.
Oh,
yeah. So if you didn't know, this one's big on the internet as well. There was a woman in the audience that was wearing this gigantic white headpiece. That was Thames. She is a singer, writer. She co-wrote Lift Me Up with Rihanna and Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
She was the one with that thing on there, and everyone was like, man, if I was sitting behind her, like, they saw nothing, nowhere, never.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... I don't understand like how or why you're able to get away with something like that. Like, I compared it to, if you ever see those videos of people on an airplane, the women on the airplane that have their hair draped over the back of their chair, so it's covering the monitor on the seat for the person behind them. Like, it's just rude. Like, I don't understand why you would do that.
Yeah, so this also isn't the Met Gala. So why are you showing up to the Oscars in this really crazy looking dress? You know, you show up in just the regular, normal Oscar gown type situation. Don't show up in something that's going to block people's view of the stage when you sit down.
Yeah.
That's just common courtesy.
I saw Devin Sawa tweeted out the picture of her sitting there, and he put an arrow on there. He's like, yeah, I'm back there, and pointed at the arrow that's right behind her.
Yeah.
That was me at the Oscars. My first Oscars. Can't wait to watch this. It was pretty funny. Almost done with this. The in memoriam package. So again, once again, there were a lot of people that were left out of the in memoriam, namely, like say Anne Heche, Tom Sizemore, and then there
Kevin
was
Conroy.
also the who?
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. There was also someone who was in Triangle of Sadness. Charles B. Dean. She passed away this past August, and she was left out of it as well. So again, that's where like most of your controversy every year is going to be from the in memoriam. I said during the watch along, I was like, I wonder how they decide this. So I looked it up. It is, Paul Sorvino. So that being said, everything else I'm about to say sounds really weird. The in memoriam package is selected by the Academy. It is completely subjective. The Academy is choosing from a list. They have to narrow the list down because they just don't have the time to go through every single person who worked any form of Hollywood who passed away within the course of a year. They don't have any way of putting them all in. And like every time that we sit here and talk about, well, they left this person out, we're usually talking about an actor or actress.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like the producers or the costumers or
sound engineers.
Yeah, we're not talking about the crew because for the most part, as the audience, we only see the actors and actresses. So that's the only ones that stay on the top of our head. So that's why, unfortunately, some of the actors, actresses, they do get bumped in to help boost some of the creative crew members who also passed away.
You do have to remember that it's definitely this situation. The Academy is first and foremost the celebration of the Oscars. All of that is for the people involved in the movies. It's first and foremost goes to them. They just also happen to broadcast it to the rest of us.
So yeah, it's completely subjective, and the way it's subjective is they pick based off in their opinion. Like we just talked about, people having opinions, and people are free to have opinions. In their opinion, who they feel was more influential to movies. So yeah, that's why I say it's a little weird when you say that, but then you're talking about, well, Paul Sorvino wasn't in there, Anne Heche wasn't in there. There was a person who was in a movie that was nominated for Best Picture this year and was not in the in memoriam. So how do you decide like what exactly is determined as being influential in the movies? So yeah, it's a little weird, but
yeah.
I do like the fact that I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Maybe they've done this before and I just don't remember, but like I saw this year they had it like where you could scan this QR code, you'll be taken to the Oscars website with the full list of everyone that they wanted to honor. So I think they've done that before. I think I recall hearing like, go check our website for a full list, but adding the QR code was a new thing this year, I believe. So
yeah.
And then the last thing I really wanted to touch upon was Michelle Yeoh. Her acceptance that was beautiful. First of all, she is the first Asian actress to win Best Actress. She is the second person of color to win Best Actress. You know who the first one was?
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. And there's a shot, if you go back and you watch it, there's a shot where Michelle Yeoh and Halle Berry are hugging, like right when Michelle first walked up on stage, and you see Halle Berry's face from like the back, and her face is just melting. Like it's these two queens basically are sitting there just it was absolutely beautiful. That hug between the two of them. The speech from Michelle Yeoh, again, like all the speeches of the night were all on par, but easily Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan, and again the speech of An Irish Goodbye, those were easily the winners of the entire night. Oh yeah, and everything. Yeah, and Brendan Fraser's speech.
And everything the Daniels said too, and the multiple times.
You know what? Everyone's speeches were the highlight of the night.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Is I wanted to bring up is Brendan Fraser won. And we were kind of pulling for him. Like, obviously, you know, a lot of people have some issues with The Whale, and I get it. I think it's completely understandable, the issues they have with the movie. I, too, was like, there's some moments in this movie that are definitely, they don't feel tasteful at all.
It
but
was not nominated for Best Picture. So.
Yeah, it's not nominated for Best Picture, so there's that. All that said, Brendan's performance in that movie was fantastic. He did an incredible job with what he did, with what that movie was. And I'm just tickled pink. That's a phrase people use. That we can now say Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser. And I think that's an awesome thing, given what all happened to him and what all he had to go through to get back to this point in his life. And that he also won it the same night as Ke Huy Quan did. And I think it's just, there's just something special. There's just something special about that.
Everybody who won, it was their first time being nominated, which is insane when you're thinking about Jamie Lee Curtis
and Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, but yeah, that was crazy. So
I also love that when everything won Best Picture, it was Harrison Ford that basically announced it, but two, the reunion between Harrison Ford and Key.
You could hear him
on stage.
You could hear him, Mr. Jones!
Mr. Jones!
Yeah. I do like Garth here. 2 Brosnan Bond girls. Now it's on Denise Richards. Good luck, Denise. We're pulling for you, I guess.
We'll see.
But, yeah. So that was the Oscars. It was a good show. Overall, like, I think that was probably the most enjoyable Oscars I've ever watched.
It's definitely the most enjoyable one in the last 5 years.
Easily. Other than depending on if you enjoy the Oscars for their controversy, like the slap or the envelope mix-up between La La Land and Moonlight. Aside from that,
sheesh.
Yeah.
Here's honestly, the honest to goodness truth is I know a lot of people watch, say, like NASCAR, and they're wanting to see for the car wrecks and everything because it's intense and it's exciting. And obviously, we want everyone to live from those wrecks, but it's still watching destruction and chaos is attractive to people. I don't want to see chaos during the Oscars. I really don't. Like the whole La La Land mix-up, great for content. The whole Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, great for content. All of it. But ultimately, like, this is a night that's specifically set aside to celebrate movies, to celebrate the people involved in making the movies and just the art of filmmaking in general. And there doesn't, like, I know a lot of people want the chaos. There doesn't need to be chaos. We don't need chaos. We don't need chaos for this. It honestly, truly is more fun just to be like, yes, I'm so glad they got awarded. Oh, they gave a great speech. What a good night. What a good moment. And not have those, oh, that moment shouldn't have happened. Woof. Because it's just in bad taste, and it leaves a bad stain on the whole situation. We want to be able to celebrate movies, not put up with whatever random chaos happens.
Yeah. Like, was it last year? The whole award for best documentary going to Questlove completely overshadowed by the slap. And I feel so bad for Questlove. He still won an Oscar. He feels great about it. But yeah, that moment, just the moment of being on stage, just all the energy was just gone. So I said this before. If the Oscars continue to put on a show like they did this show, I feel like you will honestly see less and less people complaining about not watching the Oscars anymore. We see it every year. Hey, the Oscars will come up. Yeah, I'd rather go watch paint dry. I think we will see less and less people doing that. You're still going to get people who do that because they're just people who don't understand why we give awards out for movies. That's fine. They'll never. There's absolutely nothing you can say to those kinds of people. But
And
the ones who enjoy movies, who just have been soured by the Oscars.
the funny thing about it too is this was probably the best Oscars of the last 5 years, and it's because they went back to formula. if you think about it, all the categories were in the show. There was a host.
Musical numbers.
There was no chaos. The musical numbers were performed. Literally everything was as it once was. It is exactly as the show was before the La La Land situation. When they decided, oh, we've got to make up for lost ground. People think this is a joke now. So if we get rid of the host, then we can keep people entertained and they'll be focused because we'll be able to get through the whole program. Well, if we cut some awards out, then people will be watching and they'll be into it still, and we can move it along and all that. If we get rid of the musical performances, we can keep it short and keep people's attention span. No, because what you had there was you had a worse show in the long run. And honestly, just do the show as it's supposed to be done.
Our watch along last year of the Oscars was still a little over 4 hours long. And that was after they cut musical numbers and cut 8 of the awards being shown during the ceremony. It was still the same length. So yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot more. Garth, I'm going to need to figure out some way to let the Academy or ABC know this. Like, hey guys, I was watching because these two idiots were watching. So, this is the best part of like hyping up I could ever think of. So thank you, Garth. Anyways, I'm losing my words, which means it's time to end this and go watch a movie with our patrons. Again, if you are a part of our Patreon at the $5 due tier, come join us over in the voice chat on our Discord here in a minute or so. Again, I got some things I want to talk about before we dive into whatever movie we're going to watch, and we're going to figure that out too. So hop in there. We'll be there in a minute. We'll try to start the actual movie by 10 or 11 or 8,
15.
Depending on what time zone you're in. If you're in Mountain, who fucking knows? Y'all are crazy in that.
It's not a real time zone. Probably by like 10:15 Central, somewhere around there. 10:15, 10:20 Central time.
So yeah, hop in there. Let's cover some things, and then we'll watch a movie and have a good time. Those of y'all that are not a part of our Patreon, join our Patreon. There's fun things happening there. So we will be doing the trivia hangout next Wednesday after Tagline. So if you like movie trivia, you want to play some, hang out with the guys or whatever, come hang out. It's fun. And then let's see, tomorrow we'll have our review, spoiler-free review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That will be up later tomorrow night, so be on the lookout for that. YouTube short video, us walking out of the theater, briefly talking about it for a minute. That will be up. Chris beating himself up. Bound to happen again because it was great TV. Otherwise, that is going to do it. Yeah, is your lip still like all busted up still?
No, dude, it healed within a week.
Oh, cool. Otherwise, that's going to do it for the Tagline tonight. Thank y'all for watching. I know this was a long one as we're sitting there going through all the Oscars again right after we did a 4-hour live stream. But, you know, it's fun to talk about. I enjoy doing it, and hopefully y'all enjoy watching me enjoy talking about it and Chris giving his opinions as well. So make sure you follow us at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP, where I will very likely be streaming Saturday night. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be doing, there's some changes coming to my channel. We're not just playing old Super Mario Brothers games now. We got some new things that I can do, and I'm eager to get into it. So be on the lookout for that Saturday night. It'll be fun. Chris.
Oh, Saturday, we're in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. You can also follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP, where we also are streaming and having a lot of fun and doing other stuff. I'll probably be streaming this Friday. As of right now, I'm streaming this Friday. The only thing that will stop me from streaming this Friday is if I get picked up for a gig this weekend, which may or may not happen. But as of right now, I am for sure streaming this Friday, and we'll probably be doing something St. Patrick's Day related during the stream. So you're going to want to come hang out and enjoy all the green fun.
All the festivities.
Please never do that again.
I don't know why my Irish sounds Scottish. That's weird. Anyways. Slapping the bass.
Sound like a leprechaun.
Yeah. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. We appreciate y'all being here. We will see y'all for our review tomorrow. Otherwise, he'll see you Friday. I'll see you Saturday, and we'll see you next week on this channel. Y'all have a great evening. Goodbye.
Bye.